extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Unverified emails about Hunter Biden are part of the bigger Russian disinformation.
This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
He's sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
I don't have any concern.
You can't trust FEMA and trust basic weather reports, for example.
They set us the fuck up. That's what they did. They set us up.
Antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pak.
So now we have two vaccines that are really quite effective. The mRNA vaccine, highly effective, extraordinarily efficacious, 94 to 95% for mild to moderate disease and virtually 100% efficacious.
This is bigger than news. It's about truth. It's about freedom. It's about having the courage to say, we've had enough. Hi, I'm Sam Anthony, founder of Your News. For decades, the media told us what to think. They censored what didn't fit their agenda. They silenced anyone who stepped out of line. We're not waiting for permission anymore. We're building a platform that puts truth back in your hands, where every citizen can speak freely, report honestly, and be heard. This is how we decentralize media. This is how we democratize truth. If you believe in freedom, if you believe in people, join us. Invest in Your News. Let's take it back.
The views and opinions expressed by hosts and guests on Patriots with Grit do not necessarily reflect those of Patriots with Grit LLC, its founders, and owners.
Get ready for truth bombs and guidance from conservative leaders and entrepreneurs from God-fearing, freedom-loving, truth-telling, patriotic Americans. Welcome to Patriots with Grit. Now let's jump into today's episode with your host, Darren Ross.
Sam Anthony, it's awesome to have you back on here with Patriots with Grit. We had you on probably about a year ago when yournews.com was kind of getting kicked off and starting to gain some traction. You're kind of making some big waves in independent media. I know we're at a time, Randy, when so many people are at an all-time low of believing and trusting legacy media, whether it's newspaper, radio, TV. And I think over the last 4 or 5 years with COVID especially, that just dropped that to, I think Gallup says somewhere like 23%, 30% of people now only trust what they hear in the media. But Sam, talk to us a little bit about what you're doing there at Your News and why such a plummet over the last few years in traditional media.
Well, first of all, it's good to be back, okay? Because we were on. Was it a year ago? I
think it was.
Maybe 9-10 months ago. It was a while ago, okay? But I will. The answer to your question is obvious. I mean, people are just tired of being lied to. I mean, when you could sit there and watch the television and the riots and the fires burning and the people with the flags, and then you have the media telling you how peaceful it is and how they're really good people, and then you even have Maxine Waters standing up and saying it's mostly peaceful, and yet the whole city's burning.
But there's nothing happening. I'm here.
And she said, I've been down the back alleys, I've been down the front alleys, I've been all over, and ain't none of that happening.
Do you guys remember Baghdad Bob back in the day? Do you remember the guy that was a PR person for Saddam Hussein? And he was telling everybody how we are crushing the Americans. And now they're in Baghdad, and the cameras are facing him. Behind him is a street, and he is telling you that Americans are not in Baghdad, and we are crushing them. And then you see this tank with American soldiers walking by. It's like, so what the hell is that? Oh, they're not here. What you see is not real. Okay, I mean, his whole piece was propaganda. That's all it is.
We know that, over the last 4 years, let's go back 4 years. I started catching on to the media, maybe 6 years ago, 5 years ago. But, we are still fighting people. I know I have friends that still are watching certain medias. Well, I don't watch ABC. I watch Reuters.
Or CNN.
Or NPR. And it's like,
Listen
okay, you didn't impress me any there. But, to see what the press is portraying, like with the immigration and the ICE raids and things like that, you got people out there saying, oh, these people aren't illegal. Yeah, they are. They crossed the border unlawfully. That makes them illegal. So they need to go back to where they came from. But they're following the lead of what the press is telling them.
I know, it's ridiculous. And
it's
by the
pitiful.
way, guys, I'm trying to get a group of people together to cross the border illegally into Mexico so we could start throwing rocks and burning police cars. You guys want to follow me over there? I mean, we're not going to be illegal, right?
No.
I mean, think about how dumb it sounds. So the same people that you're talking to, if you told them that, well, let's go over there and let's throw rocks and burn their police cars, would tell you crazy. That's a crime. But here it's not a crime. No,
and we can't ship them out. We can't ship them out. And so, can they come live with you? Oh, no. We can't have any of that. So,
yeah.
but
look, it's all BS. I get it. So, look, for me, it was when Trump won the election. We had this conversation, which was like 8.5 years ago, in 16.
Yep.
That's when I realized they were lying. So, there's some people that figured this out a lot quicker than we did. Alex Jones was one, that figured it out years ago. But I used to think, oh my God, this guy's so full of it. The media is not lying. Well, God, there was nobody more right than him. So, yeah, it's all but over though. So, when you guys talk about, 30% of the people or 20% trust them, I'm going to tell you what that is. That's for the most part. The extreme liberals who really facts don't matter. That's what they want to believe.
Mm-hmm.
But then the average age of people watching cable news and reading an actual physical print newspaper is 72 years old.
No kidding.
That's the reality.
Well, I know one of the pieces that we ran onto prior to the show, it talked about how, the younger generation, they pretty much abandoned news all the way across the board, whether it's TV,
Right, so
radio.
Guys, this is my game. I'm going to give you the exact numbers. You want to know why they're going out of business? It has nothing to do with lying. It's because the average age of 72 years old, what does the average person live to? Women, men,
75, 8.
Let's say 80, just, so the lifespan, we're talking stage freaking 4 cancer here, okay? And the second piece is the younger generation doesn't consume it. They get it somewhere else. So now what you don't know, because I do, because I saw it, Adweek came out with their numbers. And the demographic between 25 and 54, which is the market that all the advertisers want to reach, because when you're 25, you're typically either getting a job or getting married, having babies, buying a house, buying automobiles, getting insurance. I mean, you're in growth mode, right? And you're getting furniture, and then how much furniture can you buy, right? I mean, so you're expanding and growing, and then eventually when you're in your 50s, guess where the kids are? They're gone. Okay? They're off doing their own thing. So now a new set of advertisers want to reach you. It's the 55 and over communities to live in. It's Medicare, Medicaid. It's the pharmaceutical ads you see, right? It's a completely different set of advertisers. Well, here's the thing. Do you know over the first quarter, January, February, March, what the demographic between 25 and 54 on all networks combined, you know what the audience viewership was for 3 months? You don't.
I have no idea.
Okay, so I do. It was 500,000 people.
Whoa.
500,000 people out of 300 million.
No, out of the age demographic of 25
But
to
I'm saying out of the 300 million Americans, you're talking 500,000 people.
Well, you're talking out of that age bracket,
right,
which
from
is going to be about 120 million.
Right.
You had about 500,000 of them watching cable news for 3 months total, okay? So it wasn't like per network. It was all three. It was, I know what it was, 380 for Fox. It was 79,000 for CNN, 53,000 for MSNBC. The point is that's not sustainable. What I'm telling you is they're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. They're any place but cable news. They're getting it right here, okay? They're not getting it on cable news. Look those numbers up. It was Adweek. They just came out with the numbers. Well, of course, it was a month and a half ago. I'm just going, oh my God. So forget about the horrific numbers on just cable news. It's that demographic, which is the one that all advertisers want to reach. They've left. That's why when you watch Fox or CNN okay, what do you see? Use this drug, use that drug. It's all pharmaceutical ads. Why? That's their market. They get through. Okay?
Everybody's on medical maintenance.
Exactly. I mean, when you're 25 years old, everything works great. When you're 60, you're like, oh, I got aches and pains, right? It all changes. So, this is why they have to take this drug for this and this drug for that. Do you get up and pee too much in the middle of the night? We got a drug for that. They got it for everything. Oh, your penis isn't working. Here's some Cialis or whatever it is. At 25 years old, everything works. You don't need it.
My mom's notorious. She's in her 80s and she watches that ABC World News Tonight. She'll have it on like if she's cooking or eating dinner. And every now and then I'll be over at her house watching it or listening to it for a 30-minute segment. I try not to watch it. It's amazing, Sam, in that 30 minutes, how many commercials are strictly pharmaceutical commercials. I would say 70%.
Okay, that's the point. So what do you think happens if RFK Jr. pulls the plug on them? Remember this.
They're done.
They're done. Okay, and so I just want you to know why they advertise. They're not advertising to promote their brands, because when you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, I know what you got and I know what'll fix it, I'm writing you a script, you don't even ask. Okay, it's the doctor, because they have a network. The pharmaceutical companies have pharmaceutical reps in every single doctor's office on planet Earth. Okay, they don't need to advertise that product to you. You don't even have to know what it is. Let me tell you why they do it. It's to mitigate a problem. When one of those drugs goes haywire, starts killing a bunch of people 6 months or a year later, and now they could say, look, we got big budgets with you, keep it soft.
And it comes down to then, if he pulls the plug on that, advertising will go away. That will affect the media. That's the majority of their funding, isn't it?
Revenue.
It's 70%, which means they go instantly to the red, instantly that day, and they never return. So the only thing that's going to prop them up. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and he does he writes for a big paper, and they pay him like $500 for an article. And the editor told him the family that owns this, and I don't remember the name of the family. It was an Irish name. They're billionaires. And they said that the editor told them the only reason we even exist here is because they write a check to fund this every month. Otherwise we'd be gone.
Wow.
Well, don't forget about USAID and their funding of Politico and the BBC.
So go into that, because that would have been my next statement. When your friend's telling you you're watching this news, they say, well, it's all Reuters. So how many billions did Reuters get? I mean, we live, when you talk to people in Canada, they'll tell you we have state-controlled media, but that's how they get funded. All the media there is funded by the state. Here, oh no, we have independent news, and the independent news, and this is what we've been running. So when you say, why would somebody say this? Somebody must be paying them off. Well, it's a conspiracy theory. No longer a conspiracy. They've actually been getting billions of dollars. So the reason these people are afloat, and they've been taking taxpayer money to fund these people.
To lie to us.
To lie to us, exactly. And all the money, everybody talks about George Soros being some really bad guy. The guy's freaking brilliant. He didn't spend a nickel of his own money. The NGOs, they were giving George Soros money so that he could then spend the money on all this shit. And they could say, well, we didn't do it. He did it. No, he didn't do anything. You did it. It's the tax dollars. And he took a little for himself off the pile.
We did it to ourselves.
Dude, we were taken advantage of without Vaseline. Okay.
So when did you see the actual decline of this? I mean, at what point? How many years ago? If you could pinpoint it or throw a dart on the bullseye, when would you say this really got kicked into high gear?
For me, it was when Trump won the election in 2016, because I have a partner that's telling me the media's been lying, and I'm like, no, they're not. And then when he won, you just actually watched him turn. I mean, it was like Sybil when the whole head went around, okay? I mean, you're just like, what the hell was that? You're just making shit up and running with it. None of it had any facts behind it. So that's when I went, oh my God, this is a problem. So it seems to me then what I'm doing is really important. So we really do have to win. That was when it hit me. What I didn't know at the time was the model we had was somewhat a little different, and we had to tweak that model to what it is now. But now what we're doing, at the end of the day, this is for your audience, and you may not know what I do or not, but I'm going to tell you right now, what we do will be the next mainstream media. 100%. I guarantee it. There's no other way to do it. And so as that entity fails, our platform will ultimately replace it and become the next mainstream media. So I just can't wait until the legacy media starts knocking, because once you become big, they really start knocking you. They're going to be talking about how I'm a threat to the democracy.
Yeah.
I just hope they bring me on
Free publicity.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, listen, you got stage 4 cancer and there's no drug in the world that's going to help you. So, good riddance to you. And by the way, we're giving the people exactly what they want. Free speech. We're giving the public the ability to be able to share news and information freely without censorship. We're taking this from a completely centralized news where you have the BS from Sinclair Broadcasting with those 50 TVs all saying the same thing at the same time, a threat to our democracy.
Same words, same message. Mandated by the same station owner, Sinclair Broadcasting Group.
To a completely decentralized news source, and we're putting the power to press back in the people. So it really democratizes who gets to say it. So before, you guys are these elite guards that are, everybody had to listen to, and you knew all the truth. You don't know anything. The reality is the boots on the ground are the ones who know. The person that's sitting in the city council meeting is going to know way more than you who are reporting it from Los Angeles. Agreed? Those are my people right there.
Well, don't forget about the recent multi-network scripted event. It was the word ambush when Trump ambushed the president of Africa. That was the key word. I bet that was the biggest tag on social media. Ambush. So I was looking at some of the things that we had wrote down here about the different media. I just can't get over the fact that if USAID is paying for this stuff, NGOs are paying for this stuff, I've heard enough that I'm pretty convinced that media, through the budgeting of all or funding of all this, it's a CIA operation to misinform the people, keep them stupid, keep them thinking something else is going on. I mean, it is an actual, to me, it's like a wartime propaganda machine.
I don't know if it's CIA or if it's just government orchestrated, and maybe both are intertwined, right? But at the end of the day, they have an agenda, and the only way you can keep the populace at bay is to feed them misinformation. And so you give them dribs and drabs of reality with all the BS, so they feel like you're telling them the truth. But look, all you got to do is know this. When another country, like a communist country, invades another country, guys, what's the first thing they do? They take over the media. Okay. Why? Because they want to control the information coming out so they can control the populace. That's the only reason. So they can push their information rather than having information that's going to be damaging against them. So they take over the media. What did our country do? They took over the media. How did they do it? Well, I'm going to tell you how. 100 years ago, there was all independent news reporting, because there was no big conglomerates to come in and take everything over. And then in the 80s, it was around 500 independent news outlets. And then you had six institutions come in and over time acquire all of them, where now you only need to have 6 people on the phone that you're talking to, not hundreds of them, if not thousands. Okay. And so it's easier to control 6 people. So how do they do it? Well, you're going to do it with money, number one. Number two, you're going to tell them, you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours. Here's the agenda. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. And there was a movie that came out, and I'm trying to think who was in it. You really should watch this movie because it was a true story. It was about the Washington Post, and the guy who owned it died and the wife took over. Did you guys ever see it?
I have not.
It was with Meryl Streep. So it was. I'll tell you what it was called. It was called The Post. I don't remember where I saw it. Netflix or one of the.
It didn't ring a bell.
Okay, so it's called The Post, and what happened was the Washington Post was the 10,000-pound gorilla in D.C., and that's what everybody was reading. So the CIA infiltrated it, and they had even Washington bureaucrats on their board. Want to know why? Because the person at the Post believed that those people were the people that had the information, and when you have somebody there, they were going to be able to give you the credible information so you can get it out. They were all being lied to. And then when they found out that they were being lied to, then the threats came from DC. If you publish that, we're going to shut you down. And look, I'm not going to tell you the story. It's a true story.
Right.
And it was a great movie. You got to watch it, but that's reality. So you would think they would have fixed the problem. Instead, it got even worse. Okay. So thank God that the internet came around, because that's putting them out of business. Remember, there's still a demand for news. It's just how people consume it that's changed. So all we've done is taken their model, replicated online, and created a more efficient marketplace, right? So we basically are the local paper in every city in the United States with USA Today wrapped around it.
So let's walk through that, Sam. Did you wake up just one morning and say, hey, I want to create a kind of a privatized, non-censored online news source? Obviously, the domain name yournews.com, you told us a story on the last episode about, that's a pretty targeted, well-known domain name. I think you had to cough up some pretty good coin to get yournews.com from what you told us previously. But did you just wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to take over media with true online uncensored information that targets just your town and your city, your geographic location? Or kind of walk us through how you got this idea and took off running?
Well, years ago, me and a couple guys believed that the legacy media was not going to survive, and particularly the newspapers, right? Because that was the first to go, because online is just easier. I could read the Monday Night Football game on a website, and I could have 1 million people read it. I don't have to print 1 million papers and deliver them, right? So it's just cheaper. So it makes sense. But like anything on the internet, nothing local works. So you can't put up a Breitbart or The Hill and think you're going to make $1 billion, because you have a limited amount of inventory, and ad space is already predetermined on the web. So national ads for impressions are a penny. That's all you get for national. And it's not going to change. It's just the number. So you need something that has massive scale on the internet. Like Facebook wouldn't work, guys, if it was for one city. So what I mean by scale is all the digital properties are global. Nothing is local. Or I'm talking about just US or just for one city. So we set out to create a platform. Me and a couple guys funded it. And we believe that this digital property was going to replace the newspaper industry. And we failed. We did. I'll be honest with you. I never did it before, and we set out to do it, and we failed. And then the model was wrong. We had to change the model to a different model, and then I picked up another partner, and we set out to do the same thing. And the focus on that one, because the trick is the local news. Because remember, I'm the local newspaper in every city in America. So how do we get the bank robbery and the car crash and all the local news? Well, you have to have somebody supply it to you. So what we did was we went to independent broadcast stations, radio stations that had news departments, and they already had aggregated all the local content. Every one of them has a news director, and they even have stringers, people running around covering local news. So I had over half the country covered, and I'm like, this is the model, right? And then what happened was, I think it was in 2010, all of them started to kind of fall off my network. I had a whole network of broadcast stations. So how you have Fox News National and then all the Fox affiliates. Well, I had all the Your News National with all the Your News affiliates, right? That's what it was. It was an affiliate network. And then I started getting a lot of them drop off. And then some of them told me, they said, Sam, radio's not going to be around. He goes, do you listen to radio? And I go, no. He goes, well, I wouldn't either, but I own 3 stations. I have to tune into these stations. But the younger generation isn't. We're going to go out of business. They all started firing their news people. First people to go, the news director and the news people. Want to know why? Because they don't produce money. They're a cost. They could easily fill that airtime with music. So that's what they did. So now none of these stations were carrying news. So I went, oh my God, because think about it. If your patients or if your customers all have cancer, then eventually when they die, you die, right? So I said, oh crap, what are we going to do? And that's one day I'm laying in bed, and I don't know how you guys are, but I just, I'm not sleeping. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do? And I went,
this should be a monetization model like a YouTube or something. Like the time it was just YouTube had the monetization. I said, where somebody could write a story, they could share it on their social media pages to their followers, and then we sell the ads and they earn a percentage of the ad revenue. And I went, that's the freaking model. That's how this is going to work. And so then we had to basically take the engine out of the car and replace it with a completely different engine, right? Then we had to test it. So it wasn't like it was something that was spawned and we had it going in a week. I mean, that might have taken 8 or 10 months to get just to that point. So this has been a long road to get here. And so we did a test on it and the test worked. And then, then I started building it bigger. And then once I really, truly had every I dotted and T crossed and figured this whole thing out, I said, okay, what's this going to cost to do? Because like all the tech giants, I mean, there wouldn't be an Amazon if they didn't get funded. There wouldn't be an eBay. There wouldn't be a Netflix. There wouldn't be an Uber. None of this stuff would have existed if they didn't, go out and raise capital. The problem is the only way, like all those companies are funded by Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley's kind of woke, right? And if you ever look at our website, they're going to look at me and go, forget it, right? Free speech. So they'll probably shy away from something like this. And when I went to a Reawaken America tour in Miami, there was over 5,000 people there. And I went, these are the people that need to own my product, not institutional players. Because at the end of the day, the reason we're in the mess we're in today, guys, no kidding, is because of the media. Agreed? Because if the media was telling the truth about Hunter Biden and all the stuff that they've been lying about for all these years, none of this stuff would have existed. Joe Biden would have never been elected. If they would have actually done their research, they would have uncovered all the corruption on a local level and been reporting it. It would have had to have been pulled back. I mean, all that stuff. So they're the reason we're in the mess we are today. So now look at who owns them. There's 6 institutions that own them. So I'm going, well, so my background is capital raising. So I said, normally the way you would do a private deal is you would go to institutional players, people that own hedge funds, private equity firms, family offices, because they have all the money and they're looking for good deals. You wouldn't go to Bob Smith and say, give me $200 or $500. I mean, you go to somebody who is a $100 million fund, which I have friends of mine that have these, and, they'll put in $5 million. So I said, if I do it that way, are we not making the same mistake that we made before? Think about it, right? I mean, why are we in the mess we're in? Because it's all institutional ownership, hence the Sinclair Broadcasting with the 50 TV saying the same thing. You're talking about a centralized news. Well, basically, if I go get money from institutions, they control everything. Trust me, they do. That's how it works. You're not going to go to a hedge fund or some private equity firm and say, here's the valuation of my company, give me $10 million. And by the way, if I decide to run it into the ground, there's nothing you can do about it. They ain't giving you a nickel unless they have control. And the reason is most founders can't execute on a business. So they need to have the ability to get rid of you, which, by the way, I agree with them on that. But the problem that we're facing is most of the institutions are not going to participate. Like, I'll give you an example. I have a good friend of mine that has a $100 million fund. And he said to me, if George Soros comes up and offers you $1 billion for this, you don't have a say. We'll take it. And he's one of us because they don't give a rat's ass. Everything is about money. Think about that. Now, I wouldn't do it, but he would. I go, great. Your money's not coming. So that's all I need to, because whoever controls what I have at the end of the day is the next media mogul, the next Rupert Murdoch. So this is where, when I went to the Reawaken America tour, I said the people need to own this product. I mean, if you're touting yourself as we're a news organization by the people, for the people, and by the way, we're owned by BlackRock and Vanguard, you guys would run for the hills, right? So there's something called an equity crowd fund, which we talked about a long time ago when I was on your show. And that allows the public to be able to participate and make investments in private placements, whereas traditionally you could only have accredited investors that invest, which represents 1% of the population. So through an equity crowd fund, it now allows 100% of the people to participate. And then the company sets the price of what the minimum investment is. Some are 1,000, some are 10,000, some are $100. It depends on what you want. We made ours $200.
We figured somebody could buy, because we have a $2 stock price, somebody could buy 100 shares, and we made it affordable for everybody. Because to me, it wasn't about the money. It was about putting stock certificates in literally tens of thousands of people's hands and dispersing it to we the people. Okay.
It's the people's media is what you've created.
It's the people's media. And that was the whole piece to this. And so I went, this is freaking ingenious. So there's 3 equity crowd funds, so basically a 1 million, it's 1.2, a 5, and a $75 million. So we're engaging in the 1. After this one, I'll do a 5, but it's going to be at a much higher number. And after that, I don't know if we're going to do a 75 or we'll do a public offering. But either way, by the way, that piece, people think I already have a guy that's part of the company that took 4 of his own companies public and another 13, so total 17. I don't know how to do it. This guy does. He's done it many times over. It's what he does for a living.
Is he one of us? There's 3 types of gases in the body: oxygen, carbon dioxide, and nitric oxide. Cardio Miracle is your advanced formula nitric oxide booster and provides you essential support for increased vitamin D3 and blood flow and oxygen, cellular health and reproduction, improved cardiovascular health, enhanced energy and clarity, and it supercharges your sexual stamina. So start reclaiming your health today and increase your energy, stamina, and focus. Go to cardiomiracle.com, enter discount code GRIT. That's cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT. Take advantage of this awesome product and start feeling better today. cardiomiracle.com, discount code GRIT.
He's one of us? Yes. Matter of fact, he's the one that said to me, the world needs what you have.
Good.
He goes, so if being public will benefit you, I'll do the structure and get everything set up, but you got to do the rest. So, yeah.
So what kind of time frame is involved with a process like this, Sam?
So, everything's fluid, but, I have, we've raised, since we've been on the show, which we probably had, if you're talking almost a year ago, we had next to nothing. Okay. Because the equity crowdfund never really started until almost September. So I'm guessing it was probably in September we did this. We probably didn't even have 50 grand raised, 20 grand. Okay, so we're 350 right now. All right, so we've done a 30% of it, 25% of it, or something like that. The rest of it's starting to pick up steam. So the average person, I could tell you, put in, I think, about $1,200. Time frame, I want this one because now that I'm picking up momentum and I understand how this needs to get done. Also, the growth, like when we were talking, we had no news reporters. We're almost at 800 right now. 700, you want the exact number? It's 780, guys. 780 freaking news reporters. So while the legacy media is laying people off, I fill a void.
Are you getting any of those?
No, I don't. I don't get any of those. What I'm getting is a lot of the younger people that can't get a job, which is perfect because there's never been a paradigm shift in history where the old were part of the new, meaning none of the people from the horse and buggy were part of the automobile. Certainly none of the people that were part of the telegraph were part of the telephone. And when it comes to new media, the old guard's never going to participate in this. They just don't get it. They don't understand it. But look at how many people like you are podcasters. You're basically the next generation broadcasters is what you are, because the technology that YouTube created allowed for anybody to be able to become a broadcaster, and the cream rises to the top. And you could pick whatever you want. Your broadcast could be, I want a cooking show. Somebody else could say, I want to do a home and garden show. Somebody else could say, I want to do, like I have Derek Vance on my platform. He has a podcast, all auto racing. That's all he does. And writes 2 to 3 stories a day, auto racing. That's his thing, right? And you guys are more political, right? More MAGA political patriots with grit. So everybody picks what they want, and that's what they're running with. But this technology allows you guys to be able to have your own show, and the cream rises to the top. What I have done is I've created technology where you could be a news reporter, your own news reporter. So imagine in your community, like, I don't know how active you guys are locally, but let's say you're at the city council meeting or at a school board meeting or at a high school football game or whatever it is, and you're there all the time. Why can't you report on it and share it with the community? And so we're getting a lot of those. I was on a show the other day. It was Charlie Simons called me and said he's got the Do Not Talk show on Rumble, and he said, Sam, can you come on today at 1:00? And I said, yeah, what's going on? He goes, well, I have a woman I want you to meet. And I said, who is it? And he says, you'll understand when you meet her. Well, the comical part of this is she uncovered corruption in government in California. And when she worked for the government, she took it to her boss and she said, here's all the stuff that you guys are doing, which is illegal. And I don't know if you know, but if you know, I'm going to show you the statutes we're breaking. So now that I let you know, you can now fix it. He goes, just let it go, right? Don't worry about it. So she packaged everything up, brought it to the local media, because what's the media's job, guys? The media is to inform the public and to be the gatekeeper, not the gatekeeper, but the people that are reporting on corruption on local government and on state government and on national government. This is their actual job. And they told her, we're not interested in shedding the light on this. Thank you. And that's when I said, okay, now I know exactly why I'm here. So her name was Christy. I said, Christy, go to yournews.com, scroll down to the bottom, and click Become a Citizen Journalist and fill out the application. I activated her. Now she's reporting the news that the media won't report. So where we're at today is the media is not going to report the news to you, especially if it's something that's against the Democrats, right? Mm-hmm. So now the people have to actually report the news. So what our platform is going to bring on is a whole new stream of news reporters, and the cream is going to rise to the top. You know,
and you don't have to be a professional journalist to do this. No. You know, the best thing that ever happened was the internet and the phone with a camera. Because when they're out there yelling that, you know, it's a peaceful protest,
yeah, exactly.
You can turn on your iPhone BS detector and show everybody, you know, that this is a lie. And, you know, there's so many opportunities now. I mean, there is so much saturation right now with podcasters. Every time we think about getting somebody on the show, it's like, oh, they already got a podcast. So it's saturated. But the point I want to make is we live in a town of about 10,000. So if somebody wanted to be that voice for the town of the people, and they wanted to go to the city council meetings and they wanted to do that stuff, all they got to do is sign up with you.
That's it. I'm not going to stop them.
And it what it does is tell us about how it identifies the zip code.
Well, I want to walk through it. Can we walk through the whole process, Sam? Like if people that are watching the show say, hey, I'm interested. I want to be a citizen journalist. I want to report truth instead of hear all the fiction and the nonsense. And I want to do it in my geographical area. Mm-hmm. I want to be the pillar of the community that reports all this. Walk us through exactly how to do that.
Sure. So they go to yournews.com. Make sure
let me get there. Let me get there.
All right. So click change your location and put your zip code in.
All right.
So the green button at the top says change your location. Click that and put in whatever zip code you're in. Okay, so you're in Kearney, Missouri, right?
Yep.
So scroll down to the bottom of the page as far as you can go. And at the bottom in the middle, it says be a citizen journalist. See that?
Yep.
Click it. Now, 2 videos. One is Ariana there, and you know she did one for student journalists. That's just me in general. And if you could listen to them, they're a minute. You're not now, but you know. And then you scroll down a little bit, and there's an application right underneath that logo for the citizen. Just a little further down. Scroll down.
Further down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right there. You fill that out. It comes to us. We activate you, and you get an email with instructions on how to use your dashboard. It's really simple. If you can use Craigslist, you could do this. There's a article submission. There's a form, title, body, excerpt, and a featured image button. And you get exact instructions on how to do this. You could do it. You could do video. You could do audio. Because there's embed codes, whether it's with Spotify or Rumble or YouTube. And, you could add photos to any article. And then once you're done, once you submit your article, it comes up for review. And then that content You have control over a market. So a market is a television DMA. So what's the biggest city by you? Where are you?
Kansas City.
Okay, so you're in the Kansas City market. I don't know how many counties Kansas City has, but it's probably a lot, like probably 30, right, or something like that. So if it's a city-specific story, you could run it to a city. If it's the bank robbery in your market, it's going to run to all the whole market, which there's 210 of, like LA, Chicago, that kind of stuff. If it's somebody's Little League game, it needs to be sports news for that city. If it's a city council meeting, it needs to be politics news for that city. If it's, like a big event, like a big fair's coming to the town, well, that's market news. So that's going to run, let's say, in events and under entertainment news. It just depends on the content, because all content is either city, county, market, state, regional, or national. Just how it works.
Let me give you an example. Let's just say that Patriots with Grit was putting on a community, a one-day
educational awareness event,
and we had speakers coming in, and it was going to be here in our town of 10,000. We could put a video up. We could put text, not commercials, but promotions, and that would run throughout the Kansas City market. Correct?
Yeah. And we'll set it to expire after the event's done.
So Sam, how does that work though? When obviously, how do you get people in a market, in a city, in a county, in a state to even know your news exists? I mean, we could put out all the content we want and all the community awareness articles, but if hundreds or thousands or millions of people in the geographical area that we're in don't know about your news, they're not going to get it.
So here's how we get our traffic. It's all from our content creators. So the example would be, like, I market on LinkedIn to all the people that are out of work. You want a job, here's where it's all going. Watch the video. If you like what you hear, fill out the application. So this is how I got almost 800 people signed up so far. But the way our product works is somebody like the auto racing guy. You guys do political, he does all auto racing, nothing political. Well, all of his people, what he does is when he submits an article and it gets approved, he shares it to all his people on social media. They're now all coming to me to consume his stuff. So the bigger I get, you see what I mean? It's all about content. So this is why I keep telling you, it's the platforms that drive the biggest amount of traffic, because you could have millions of users. So when you submit that article, you're going to want to share that on social media. It's a news story, right? So those people may share it with other people. My content, when I say mine, it's everybody else's content. I'm just the platform. But all this stuff starts getting shared out. And by the way, on another note, guys, I'm going to tell you what we're doing. It'll be completed. Today's the 11th, before the end of the month. There's going to be a follow button on every single content creator, where individuals will be able to follow just Patriots with Grit, or a specific individual in a local market that does local news. Let's say I have somebody who does high school football in Chicago. He has a social media page. So what he does, he brings people. Well, what's going to happen is, over time, your followers you're not going to diminish. You're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So you may have 5,000 people on our platform that are following you. Every time you post and we approve it, it automatically will send an alert to everybody following you. That's why you have follow me on Rumble, follow me on X, follow me here. So people will be able to follow you. But now what happens is, you just submit the article. Once you've got all your followers here, it basically does all the work for you. They come in, and now it'll calculate the ads, and it'll give you a percentage of the ad revenue.
So explain that. That's the part I'm curious about. How does it, in layman's terms, how does it calculate what we would get for, say, putting up one episode a week or versus 5 episodes a week? Or
so you have ads around the content. When you're dealing with mobile, you can't put the ones on the sides. You only have the vertical ones, right? These is it the horizontal? What the hell am I thinking? No, the verticals are this way. The horizontals, right?
Yeah,
you can only have those. So with a website, you could add like 12 ads. I think you can get around a story, but you could only do like 4 or 5 when you're dealing with the mobile. And ours is about 50-50. Half the people are desktop, half are mobile. But when somebody writes a story or does a video, we'll use something simple. Somebody posts the high school football game. Well, the people that follow them are going to be people that like the type of content they're producing, just like the auto racing guy. Everybody follows him likes auto racing. So when he shares that with them, they're coming to us to consume the content. We sell the ads. And then the way it works is he gets when the article opens, it calculates the ads and puts a percentage in his dashboard. Okay, now what this is really going to go to is as we start scaling and building this, it's going to be like right now it's self-service for ads. And I sold $124,000 in ads last year. I didn't even know it because a lot of people buy it on their own because we already have plenty of traffic. But what we're going to do is there's some stuff I want to do on that. So I have the follow button. I'm going to put up a Canadian version. I'm just letting you know because I promised people I'd do it. That won't take but a couple weeks. And so now you're saying, are you growing? Yes, I'm opening another country. The next piece is going to be taking that ad section we have and making it more efficient where it works for us. So in other words, somebody comes in because I'm going to market advertising to millions of businesses. Target your ad on the Your News network. A portion of your ad revenue, target to one zip code and anywhere in between. A portion of your ad revenue goes to the journalist who wrote the story in your market. And by the way, here's $50 coupon to try it out. So you spend 10 grand to reach 1 million people. You're going to get probably 1% of them that say, screw it, I'll try it. Let's create an account. So they got to log in, create an account, put in their credit card information like you do at Google, but then you put in your promo code where you get a free $50 credit and you run the ad, right? Afterwards, our system needs to email them or text them or however they work it through the phone to say your account balance has $2 left or $5. If you want to continue, click here to add funds, and you'll keep a percentage of them. The real money is in the local ads, guys. It's in the low because you get 10 times the CPM rates. So we're putting tech in place that makes this scalable beyond belief. And then once that piece is done, because you can still buy them now, there's nothing left to do. This is nothing more than one big massive marketing campaign. So where we have, call it 800 news reporters now, by the end of the year, I want to have 5,000. By the end of the year after that, I want to have 25 or 30 or 40,000.
So with that, the way it figures out, is it based on clicks? So if we had, let's just say somebody wrote a story on the city council here and they got 600 views of that article, is it based on that number of views?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And the national ads you get a penny for, but the local ads you get 10 cents for. It's 10 times the money. Which means, think about it. So if you have 10 ads around a story and the page gets clicked, they're all national, you made 10 cents, right? So to make it simple on a national level, if you had 100 million page views, you made $10 million, right? That's how much you made. If they were all local ads, because ads are on a best bid basis, it would be $1 every click at 10 cents. So now you'd have $1, but now 100 million page views, $100 million. It's 10 times the money.
All right.
But then the percentage that goes to the content creators, that percentage of 20% is a massive difference from 10 million to 100 million. You see what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the point. One's 2 million and one's 20 million. So that gets dispersed to the content creators. So this is in building mode, guys, just FYI. We're in the process of doing all this. So it's going to be build, bring on content creators, get the tech in place. The tech's kind of not that difficult to get done. The one piece with the ads will just take a little bit longer, but this piece will be done in a few weeks. And that last piece is probably going to take a few months to complete it as we want it. But we're just going to be keep bringing on news reporters and content creators, keep building. And so the more content you bring on, the bigger your audience grows. It's like Facebook. Everybody understands how Facebook gets their traffic. Content equals readership. They have a user. The user posts, like somebody posts their kid's Little League game. Grandma and grandpa comes to see it, right? Because they get to see the link. In our case, the guy with auto racing posts a story, shares it on his social media pages to his auto people. They all come to me to read it. Your content's going to be sitting on a different category, but it'll be sitting right there. So it allows for broader distribution and more monetization.
So the viewer out there, he can filter what he wants to read, whether it's city, county, local, national, whatever.
Sports, medicine,
yeah, there's all
whatever.
kinds of filter options in there, I'm assuming, correct?
The filter, if you go back to the site, do me a favor, just take it up to the top, or just mouse over national news. Mouse over national. Okay, what do you want to read? Auto racing, hockey, basketball.
Kind of like the newspaper.
You think? Okay, this model's been figured out. Okay, now wait. Go to local edition. See?
Perfect.
It breaks.
My favorite one's the obituaries. It's interesting.
So the model has been around for 200 years. I'm talking the newspaper model. It works. The Kearney, Missouri is in the Kansas City market. So the content, we could have stuff that's there. Like if you click top stories in like right where you are, you see it says politics right below. There's top stories.
I'm slow.
Down below. Go down.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, so top stories is like the front page. So I don't know what's going to be in here. Tornadoes killed 23 in Kentucky and Missouri. So a lot of this is going to be state stuff, but we have a lot of markets that have complete local news. So if you want, what does that say? Missouri AG, Andrew Bailey launches, whatever it is.
Yeah, so it's state and local.
And it looks great. I mean, that looks as good as any major news outlet website.
Yeah. So as we get more content creators, like I just had a story come in South Carolina, I think it is, and it was a journalist that broke a story about, I think, some building that was going up, right? Just started construction, and then something else. So that you will never see it because it's not assigned to the zip codes that make up your market. It's his market. You'd have to travel to his market to see the story.
So I'm just sitting here thinking about a few things. So there are some people in Missouri that are really hard hitters. They go to the Capitol every day. They're breaking down bills and calling out the corruption, and they do Substack. It would be beneficial for them to just put that article in here.
Yeah, and they could have it in both. I mean,
I would lots rather see it in this format than Substack.
Yes.
I mean, I would look at Substack as an alternative, but this is so much more attractive and easier to navigate, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So the content, like Substack is going to carry specific types of content that are good. They're doing it because they want to get monetized. People don't want to pay to read about the high school football game. That's where we come in. So eventually, as we start scaling and building this thing and start getting tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of advertisers on the platform, everybody will come here because they remember one thing. Content creators are great at producing content. They're not salespeople. They're the draw. They need somebody to sell the ads. I can't sell enough ads, but platforms can do it because it's all self-service. So as you this is why we're raising capital to build the brand and then to support the content creators. So this is why we've been, and that's the Nico Ventures thing that you saw.
Well, let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how somebody can become an investor.
And for those people that are just listening on the podcast, not watching, they can go to issuanceexpress.com, ISSUANCE express.com/Nico-REGCF. So issuanceexpress.com.
Might be easier to go to yournews.com and scroll to the bottom and click it back.
Well, we wanted to give the link also in case people that are just listening here. So
it'll be in the show notes below.
Yes.
Yeah. So for somebody that is interested, they would come here. This is basically our deck, they call it. It's a marketing piece of what we're doing. This Issuance Express is a brokerage firm. To set this up took at least 7 or 8 months to do and a lot of money. You had to go through background checks, audits, the whole 9 yards. So if you look to the right, you see where it says, $2 per share, $200 minimum, $100 minimum offering, which we've far exceeded that, 1,230,000 max offering. So that's the 1.2 million. And then it shows you the expiration date, which is April 30th, 2026. And then if you scroll down and invest in Nico Ventures, it shows you the dollar amount. It's 349 something is what it says, right? 349. I can't read it.
560.
Yeah. And so what'll happen is this is where you could read about what we're doing. There's a video on this. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see a video of me speaking, which kind of explains it. We're now in full motion. So when you guys saw this, we had no news reporters. We're almost at 800. 780 is the number. So, and then if they like what they see, they click invest and they have to create an account. And then that money gets held by the broker dealer. And then when we clear escrow, it comes to us. But that's really it. So people can form their own conclusions. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what you have to ask yourself is, do we fill a void? Is there a marketplace for this?
Absolutely. I think there's a huge void. I don't know about you, Randy. I mean, I don't watch the newspaper. I don't read a newspaper anymore. My girls, they were over today. We asked them. They don't even watch the news. I mean, they're in their 20s. They don't watch the news. They don't listen to the radio.
I know a town of this size, and I'm just sure it's in all communities. Most of the news, stuff that's newsworthy, gets just passed around from text threads or on
social media.
You know, what's going on in so-and-so town Facebook page. They might as well be getting compensated for it.
Yeah, that's all it is. So the bigger I get, the more ad revenue it attracts. The more ad revenue it attracts, the more money it gets dispersed to you guys. It's just that simple. That's why whenever you make an investment, and, you know, we'll talk about Rumble. Rumble has a $3 billion market cap, but Rumble, the 10,000-pound gorilla there, is YouTube. And the only reason Rumble exists is because YouTube kicked off a small amount of people. Were you guys kicked off YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Going on a second time now.
So, guys, they filled a void, right? That void was you guys needed a home, and Rumble was the place the people chose. And the Rumble was around since 2013, so nobody ever heard of them until 2020 when the COVID mess was created, and YouTube kicked off a bunch of people, and now you guys needed a place to go. They just happened to be there, right place, right time, good for them. I mean, that's just luck, and now they're worth $3 billion on the stock market. In our case, nobody, you know, where are these people going to go that are out of work? Where's all these students going to get a job when they get out of school? Who's going to hire them?
I just wonder about kids going to like University of Missouri for journalism.
Okay, there's literally hundreds of thousands of them that are getting out of school and have nowhere to go.
Exactly. I mean, and that's one of the that's University of Missouri, one of the main journalism schools in the nation. And you know, you talk to people that have graduated there, they're like, "Oh, I'm a barista, or I'm working in communications for an insurance company." They're not doing journalism.
No, because there's no jobs. It's either me or welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order? That's it. That's why they're working as baristas. Nobody's hiring in the media space. The whole thing is collapsing.
Well,
now you start to see the opportunity here. This is freaking massive.
Let's hope that you were in the right spot at the right time.
Guys, have you ever went fishing before?
Oh, all the time.
Okay. Imagine going fishing and somebody says to you, when you get out there, you need a fishing pole? No. Do you need bait? No. The fish are all going to jump in the boat. That's the business I'm in. I mean, they're all jumping in the boat because there's nowhere to go. And like you guys had nowhere to go with Rumble, it's the same thing in the journalism business. I'm just filling a void. Watch what I do over the next year.
Well, Rumble's, like I said, they're just picking up the scraps. I mean, there's always business in the scrap business. I mean, there really is. There's money to be made in the scrap business.
Exactly. Okay. All I'm doing is I'm not only picking up scraps, I'm innovating a whole new media digital property where people that have never been in the business can now come in. So basically, I'm like YouTube for our industry. So anybody could be a news reporter. Anyone in your town could report the news. And they could do it. Look, as people tell me, well, how are they any good? I go, well, do you watch mainstream media? I mean, because anybody can do better than that. I mean, give me a break. All you have to do is tell the truth. Here's what happened. Who, what, where, when, why. That's it. Okay? And the cream's going to rise to the top. The people are either going to like to read their stuff or they're not. And you're going to have some people that are just not very good. And you're going to have other people where in your town, mark my words, you guys are going to be saying, you're going to say, hey, Randy, did you see what Mary said on your news? Okay. And I don't know who Mary is, but at some point in time, there's going to be somebody that is going to be doing news in your community.
I remember back when I was a little kid, we grew up in a really rural area.
I bet
Randy
you're
and I
going to
did.
say what I'm thinking.
And there was this little newspaper called the Town and Country Leader. And there was one lady that would, every week, she would write this little blurb, this little article. And it'd be like, Leroy, Billy Bob, and I went to Ponderosa Steakhouse Friday night, and we had this and this and this. And then we went home and we watched Gunsmoke. And people would really read that stuff.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we laughed at that.
We did laugh at that. It's like, this
That's
is
exactly what I was thinking.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy, but people still, they want to know what Billy Bob and Mary Jane did on the weekend. It's creepy.
Dear Epi, right? I mean,
It's
all
nuts.
kinds of stuff attract people, so you're going to have people that have opinions that we're going to give them a voice. You're going to have people that, want to write sports stories and, write about the basketball or high school football game, the local stuff. All that's coming. And it's going to come a lot faster than you think. This is where, doing an equity crowdfund allows you to scale at a faster pace. So, like I always tell people, I don't need people's money to figure out how to do this. I have 800 news reporters, for God's sake. Do you? Okay. The next step is you need to support them and you need to scale it and build it bigger. And think of it this way. When Amazon first started, somebody bought the first book, right? I don't know who it was, but they had to have the first order. And so when the order came in, everybody was like, oh, I got a book. I got an order. What are we going to do? Well, ship it, dummy. Okay. What's the address? Send it to them. Okay. I got it. And then a few days later, oh, we got 10 books, Mr. Bezos. Great. Ship them out. And then one day the guy wakes up and goes, hey, we got 6,000 orders. Okay. Bezos goes, well, ship them out. I can't ship out 6,000 orders. I need help. Oh, well, we need some investment capital. You're always going to, as you're growing, you're going to have growing pains. And you're going to need expansion capital to be able to fill those gaps and, and the growing pains that you're having. Because, and think of it in our case, we get 200 or 300 articles every single day submitted, if not more. And I have an infrastructure right now that handles all that. So let's say we pick up another 5,000 news reporters. Well, you still have the 80-20 rule, so you're going to have 1,000 more pieces of content coming in. So instead of having 200 or 300, it's going to be 1,230. Can you guys read 1,230 articles a day? Neither can I. So the support staff, which I have, which approves everything, is now going to go, holy crap, can we have some help? We don't have enough time in the day. That's all it is. It's supporting the growth that you're experiencing. But that growth is what's going to attract all the ad revenue. I can't make it any more simple than that. Okay. So this is how all companies start. Somebody had to sell the first book, right? On Amazon. And now they sell so much shit that they got trucks on every freaking city in the world.
Rail cars. I noticed the other day they just had a rail car after rail car after rail car.
On our street, I bet an Amazon truck goes down at 5 times a day.
It's amazing.
I think the Amazon comes to my house 5 times a day. They're delivering stuff in Afghanistan in the caves, I think. I mean, they're everywhere. And so the point is without that expansion capital to grow, they would have went out of business. I mean,
I agree.
That company, right? That runs on very minuscule margins. Ours has huge margins.
So, Sam, as we finalize this show today, talk to us. What's one piece of advice you would give our viewers, whether they want to be just a consumer of your content on your news, or if they want to be a content creator?
Well, the piece of advice would be, like at the end of the day, or at least for us, we would like a broader audience of readers, right? So if you just want to be a reader, go to yournews.com. If you want to be a contributor, you can contribute to the narrative as well. If you want to be a paid news reporter, you would have to click the become a citizen journalist, where you can fill out an application. That's different because at the top, remember the green button that said submit your news? That allows the public to be able to share in the narrative, and you could post classifieds, opinions. I don't pay PR firms and nonprofits to post their events, right? It's free advertising. But the paid thing's a little bit different. And then obviously, if you think we have a good business model and you think that there's a lot of growth potential in the industry, which it's freaking massive, and you want to make some money, you place your bets, and you could spend $200 and everywhere in between. So
I love it. I think it's a great model.
Well, I'm glad we had you back on. I feel like I've kind of went through a revival here because I've kind of lost focus. There are several people I can think of right now that write all the time that could benefit from being a journalist, a citizen journalist.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, there's only two things that people like you guys would like, and that is broader distribution and monetization. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right.
There isn't another one. That's it. That's all I offer. Broader distribution and monetization.
So people can actually be a content creator, and they could put text-based articles up there. They can put videos like this podcast. They could do audios of the podcast. They could do all three or one of the three, correct?
Yes. Simple.
Beautiful.
Embed codes. Well, you guys know because you put your podcast on there.
Right.
Okay, so it's the Rumble embed code. Well, on Spotify, they have a embed code for theirs.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. It's
or
similar.
Apple Podcasts or all of them.
Or Apple, yeah. And then written content, so you can videotape the high school football game, throw it on Rumble or YouTube and use the embed code for that. Or you could be a reporter with a microphone, okay, that's walking around interviewing people and then submitting that to us. So you could do an interview with a local business that just opened. You could be, it gets really good. I mean, we have a food and wine section. What if you wanted to be what do they call them? Like a food critic, like a restaurant, do restaurant reviews?
I would weigh 400 pounds.
Well, me too. But you go to some restaurants and you write reviews. And then you create an account on Your News. And then remember the Derek Vance, like you guys have your own author page on our site. So now you have an author page. So now what happens is you show some of the restaurants. I do restaurant reviews for Your News. I'd like to come in and do a review, and I'd like you to compensate me with give me my wife and me a dinner.
Hey, we're in Kansas City, man. With us, a home of barbecue. We could literally, Randy, weigh 400 pounds and get free dinners. I mean, we do this like twice a month. I kind of like that idea.
What about local theaters to do theater reviews? So once you get traction and you get a name recognition, then basically you go to any restaurant you want. Look, I want to come in and do a review of the restaurant. I'll make it really good. Just pick up the tab. They don't care.
Well, to go in and do local theaters, you might have to be vaccinated. So that might not work for us. But again, it might, Randy. It depends on the theater. But Sam, thanks so much for coming on here again today and explaining this one more time. It clarified it for me, Randy. How about you?
Yep, I got to take some action and get some other people on the platform.
I love it. I think it's simple. I think it's definitely the way of the future. And I see you guys growing tremendously.
We have nowhere to go but up. And the whole industry is imploding. So there is no other way to go. Growth will be exponential here. So this is what I'm a little excited about, because at the end of the day, remember this, we're in the mess we're in today because of the media. If you want to get out of the mess, we need to control the next mainstream media.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And we can do it.
Yeah, that's it. So this is the solution. Besides a civil war, this is the actual solution. A free press. Exactly.
Well, Sam Anthony from yournews.com. Thanks so much, my friend. Hope to have you back on in another few months, Randy? 4 or 5 months, and see if he's
check in.
Yeah, I'd love to see you up there in a few million.
Yeah, that's good, because now I can give updates. I think the updates, like last time I was here, we had 0. Now we have 800 news reporters. So
that's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah,
that's a great increase there. So, all right, Sam, appreciate you coming on and sharing, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate being here.
Take care. We'll see you.
See you.
Bye.